According to the Standish Group's 2020 Chaos Report, around 66% of software projects fail. And only around 16.2% of IT projects as a whole were actually successfully completed within budget, on time, with all the promised functionality. So, if you're in some pain developing your next app or software project, you're not alone. Being in the industry myself, I've lost count of the number of projects that have been brought across my desk that need some kind of recovery. And at the core of a lot of these initial problems is their previous development agency. They just weren't cutting the mustard in terms of expectations that needed to be met. The most common complaints we hear about include things like missed deadlines, a lack of communication, constant budget changes, budget blowouts, or overly buggy software, and just a general lack of skill to do the work that they've promised. If any of these complaints resonates with you, or if you're starting to see some of these creep into your project, I suggest taking a step back and reevaluating your circumstances. And if you're fortunate enough to be in a position where you haven't started the development process yet, I want to share with you a few red flags that you can look out for. And most importantly, what to do about them. So make sure you stick around. Let's dive straight into red flag number 1. Incomplete requirements. Most software projects should have several hundred requirements written as user stories defining every feature. There should be no surprises when it comes to your build. If you don't have a nice, deep working document of what you're getting, watch out. The second thing you need to watch out for is a lack of user involvement. Let's say you haven't heard from your developer over the last 2 weeks, or you're midway through the core build and you haven't had a single question in 3 weeks. This is a big problem. I can tell you right now that no developer has all the answers from the outset of your project. It just doesn't happen. If you aren't being asked any questions, it's more than likely that they're not delivering according to the specs. Or even worse, they're not delivering it at all. Red flag number 3 is the size of the team and the number of resources dedicated to your project. If your project manager is also the designer, he's also the guy that sends you the invoices, you might be in a situation where one person is wearing too many hats. And in software development, this could derail your project very quickly. So keep a lookout and don't be afraid to ask who is responsible for what. Red flag number 4 is unrealistic expectations. If the deadline is too good to be true, then it probably is. You're not looking for someone to overpromise and underdeliver. You're looking for things to be realistic. You're always going to come across those agencies that say yes to everything. And unfortunately, a lot of the recovery projects that we get have failed because the agency underquoted and promised quicker delivery times than they could actually handle. You need to make sure that the timeline you've been given can be rationalized according to developer, tester, and designer hours. If it doesn't pass the sniff test, ask more questions. And the last red flag is a lack of testing. To be honest, this is the number 1 red flag. Testing is probably the most important stage of the development process. Without proper testing, the software might not work as anticipated and lead to some pretty disastrous results. I'm talking angry customers, service interruptions, and even security breaches, just to name a few. These are all things that are expensive and time-consuming to fix post-launch. Your safest bet is to have at least 1 or 2 testers per developer in the team working on your project. And you'll know you'll have a qualified tester if there's a big defect backlog and obvious errors are being picked up on. If not, then make sure you reach out and ask what kind of testing is done before you're receiving your version. So those are my 5 top things to look out for. But if you find yourself in a situation where you need to find a new developer, here are a few things you need to do. Number 1, the most important document is your contract. You really don't want to find yourself in a legal battle on top of all this, so make sure you get proper advice on what your exit clause is and ensure you fulfill all the terms you agreed to. Number 2, securing your code and assets. I suggest making sure that you have access to all of your raw source code, your data, the source files to your design and any technical diagrams before letting your developer know that you've decided to look elsewhere, in case they decide to go rogue. Spring Digital has been brought in as external consultants, conducting code reviews for our clients in the past. if they're either from a non-technical background or just not sure how to do this. It's a pretty delicate situation that should be handled with care. Number 3, if the project is failing, there's a pretty good chance your developer knows it too. Try to find a win-win exit point in the project where they can tie off what they are doing and you can move on. This also means that you didn't leave a bad taste in each other's mouth and you can reach out in the future in case you need anything. Even if you decide to leave your current developer, you might have to take a few steps backward before taking steps forward. For example, sometimes the code work is so bad that it might just need to be thrown out so that you can treat the problem and rebuild your project. Code can be bad for many reasons. It could be wrong choice of language, poorly written function, or just a lack of quality architectural design. Kind of like a home where you might not be using the right building material. The quality of the workmanship might not be right, or not having the right foundations or structure in place. If you understand the software development lifecycle well, you'll know that the code is just another part of the cycle and doesn't represent the whole project. So it's not necessarily a bad thing to redo the code from scratch. Anyway, if you find yourself stuck in a situation and you need a second opinion, feel free to reach out to us at Spring Digital. And if you've got value out of this video and want to learn more about app or software development, make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. See you next time.